Yo, it's the universe's greatest, Jaz-O. And you're now logged on to hiphopwired.com. Let's go. I got my first major deal with EMI Records, just rhyming, being an MC in the street. Of course, you know, they didn't have the internet back then, so you couldn't blow yourself up. I basically was in the street, you know, battling, hitting the block parties, the house parties. I got known, you know, from all up the East Coast. My deal was like $275,000, which was outrageous for that time. I was the first rap artist ever signed to EMI, and you know, we spent a lot of money. A lot of people don't know I was singing back then too. Vincent Davis and Scott wanted to sign me as like an R&B artist. I didn't want to do that. And right after that, they signed Keith Sweat. I don't have any regrets, you know, I didn't want to do it. Then, you know, I was younger, so I couldn't see above and beyond that, say, well, I was still myself. Plus, I love rhyming so much. The way I did Ain't No Nigga production-wise was being that the timing was so off, you know, in the actual record because it was a live band. I had to take 6 different pieces of what the total loop I desired, let the 2-inch tape run, and I just did it live, like boom, 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 just like that for like 5.5 minutes live. And of course, you know, when Jay heard something that he didn't want anybody else to have, you know, he would take that. And a lot of people question whether Foxy wrote her verse, and you know, I've been asked that a few times, and like I don't know where it was or how it got into her brain for the most part, but you know, I saw her writing it on the inside of a Sugar Hill vinyl cover. The reason why I passed on the Roc-a-Fella deal was that it was, to me, a bad deal. They were offering me money but no advance. I was not being compensated in any form or fashion for the time I was supposed to be in the studio. Why would I accept that? It wasn't really about the money. Like, you know, I got this way back then, so now I need more. Because actually what they offered me was a $150,000 budget. I was like, okay, cool. Who controls the budget? That was the issue. Who's controlling the budget? Who's paying for the studio? Where am I working at? And you didn't mention anything about an advance in my pocket. So how am I supposed to support myself being in the studio every day for a couple of months? Damon didn't have the right answers, but he may be the scapegoat for both of them. They could have given me like 20 stacks. That would have compensated for my time away from anything else I was doing. They started acting worse than a record company because at least a record company would put an advance in your pocket. That's why I didn't do the deal. Last time I spoke with Jay was on the phone in early 2002. It's no big deal. Like, I talked to some people who are around Jay at times, and you know, I hear, you know, he said, you know, he tells them regardless of what it really is, he's like, I ain't got no problem with jazz. And I would tell people the same thing. I'll have my personal thoughts on some of the moves he has made pertaining to me. And I'm sure he has some things about me, you know, and more than likely in terms of like business, you know, because like I said, I'm a bad businessman by choice because I got as far as I've gotten not even having to do business. But it was a different world back then. You know, if you had enough talent, that's all, that said everything. I find it very difficult to acknowledge that Dame would be broke. People who adhere to the media, they get caught up. Like, if somebody's in the limelight and they don't have 15, 20 million in the bank, then they hurting. What world do you live on? You know, and these same people walk out of their 1-bedroom apartment in a fucked up neighborhood and get on a bus. I'm just saying, to have that type of mentality is a dysfunction. They had a picture on Facebook with me on a train. And I'm like, why y'all making fun of that? Bloomberg rides the train. I have an autobiography coming out October 4th. It's going to be titled The Originator. I let time go by on purpose so that people will understand that it's not an ego thing or I have some type of point to prove, like I am who I am. They didn't believe in David, they believed in Goliath because, you know, he was the big dude and David had his little bullshit ass, you know, rock and rope weapon They don't understand that. They only see what's on the outside and they believe every single thing that the media tells them. You know, and the biggest is usually the best. We all know that's not true.